Thank you all for being here. What I'm about to tell you hasn't been something that I've disclosed until recently in the help of Dr. Greer, among other people.
Who is Michael Herrera? Today we'll learn the story of an ex-Marine who claims to have had an out-of-this-world experience that would shock even the most open-minded. It involves a UFO, Marines, private military units, psychic human trafficking, and potentially reversed alien technology, all wrapped up in a bow of a good old-fashioned global cover-up. In this video, I'll go over Michael Herrera's phenomenal story. I'll share parts of my conversation with an independent researcher who has been investigating Michael's story for months. I'll also share responses I received from some in the UFO community about Michael's story, including AJ from the Y-Files. And AJ's statement might just shock you. But let's start with Michael's story. One evening in the dangerous jungles of Indonesia during the 2009 earthquake aftermath,
thousands could be trapped alive in collapsed buildings on the Indonesian island city of Padang, which is home to 900,000 people. Authorities say untold numbers of homes, hotels, schools, and shops have crumbled to the ground.
A squad of 6 Marines on a humanitarian aid mission happened upon something that would change their lives forever. The squad is dropped off via helicopter, and after a short time, they notice something odd coming from the top of a hill right in front of them. They make their way up and look down into an open clearing. Suddenly, they see something that stops them in their tracks.
We're positioned near this slope. It wasn't like a steep grade or anything, but it was enough to obscure what was going on the other side that we had no idea what was going on. And this is when we came across this operation.
They look up and see a UFO the size of a football field hovering about 500 meters away. It's octagonal in shape with scales like a honeycomb pattern. It rotates slowly, humming like an electric guitar amp, emitting lights that repeatedly change color.
And that's when I started seeing the key details of this thing. Like it had like a scale pattern on it, kind of like an octagonal, because the craft itself was like an octagonal shape where you could see points. Had a pyramid structure on top that was black, and you can see the shadowing of it as it rotated. But it was rotating very slow. It had like these vents on every single corner on the middle part of these the panels anyway. There was like a Vanta black. It was like a dark black that would like absorb light. Like you could shine a light at it and it won't even illuminate.
Like the Batmobile.
Kind of.
They see big trucks and armed mercenaries speaking with American accents.
Any accents?
Not accents, it's just like American dialects, how you and I are talking.
Shipping containers containing what's initially thought of as weapons. Later it's determined to be humans, specifically psychic humans who could power alien crafts. It was an illegal human trafficking operation, expertly hidden in the cleanup of an earthquake disaster. People will be reported missing anyway, so to them, what's a few more?
I'm not dead. I'm not dead.
As the squad of Marines make their way down to get a closer look at the operation, they're stopped at gunpoint by the mercenaries. The Marines are now being interrogated on site. Their weapons have been taken from them, and they are in no position to run. Mind you, the UFO is hovering nearby, and the otherworldly clandestine operation continues.
At one point they said they were going to smoke us, they could throw us out of a helicopter, it's very easy to get lost in the jungle out here. They kept saying stuff like that. Because as they approached us, you could hear the safeties flip off.
Multiple shipping containers full of psychics are loaded into the UFO. They used a special platform that was separated from the craft, but somehow still a part of it. It was directly below the craft and would lift the shipping containers inside, kind of like an elevator. At this point, the Marines are terrified, wondering if they'll ever make it out alive. They pleaded with the mercenaries, who finally let them go, and were told to never speak of this again.
So as they gave us our stuff back and we're going up this slope, they're still talking shit. They're still saying, we could kill you. Don't fucking look back or we're going to smoke you. So as soon as we went over the top and all of a sudden we didn't, they weren't pursuing us and we fucking hightailed it.
Later, after the incident, Michael blew the whistle about what he and his squad witnessed that fateful evening in Indonesia. 2009 at a National Press Club event in Washington, D.C., hosted by none other than Dr. Stephen Greer, a prominent but controversial figure in the UFO community.
Thank you all for being here. What I'm about to tell you hasn't been something that I've disclosed until recently in the help of Dr. Greer, among other people.
It was at this event that Michael was approached by a figure he has never named. And for the purpose of this video, we'll call him Person X. It was from Person X that Michael learned that what he saw in the jungle in 2009 was not a drug-running operation, but a human trafficking operation, a psychic human trafficking operation.
And come to find out, when I gave my speech in D.C. on that Saturday for the Disclosure Project with Dr. Greer, he's got a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, by the way. And this gentleman, I'm not going to give any detail. I know a little bit about him, but he works in some of these projects at some very controversial facilities. He's aware of what was going on. After I gave my presentation of this, he confirmed, he says, no, he's like, I don't want to leave Michael hanging out there, but I was not expecting to come and talk to you about this. And he went explaining what the operations do, why they do it, and what they were using them for. And he says, it's not drugs that they're putting in these shipping containers. He says it's humans.
Human trafficking.
Yes.
It was a man-made UFO, possibly reverse engineered from alien tech. But Michael doesn't think it has anything to do with aliens.
My event had nothing to do with ETs.
Months later, after coming out publicly, Michael was approached again by Person X and invited to a secret U.S. black site to learn more about what happened in Indonesia and discover more about this unruly cabal of gatekeepers who are controlling a global cover-up. The secretive powers that be, apparently, are quite divided, according to Michael at least. Some want this secret kept forever, while others want Michael to tell this story. So finally, Michael says he was told to speak publicly about what happened in Indonesia in 2009. Unfortunately, he couldn't be provided any evidence to corroborate his story. Michael says Person X and 30 others who work on the human trafficking operations want to come forward, but may not out of fear of reprisals. Michael's claims are supported by some in the UFO community, and who better than to hear from than Jack from Cosmic Road, a UFO YouTube channel, who interviewed Michael. And Jack thinks Michael's the real deal.
In Indonesia, he sees this man-made UFO, man-operated, and they're loading weapons, I guess, and what seems to be living humans that later information, he found out they were psionics, psychically gifted people that were being, abducted by the control group or ushered into this program.
It was humans trafficking other humans, but using a UFO reverse engineered from alien tech.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Got it.
And they were using them to interact with alien technology and also to lure in, to form psychic connections to beings so that they could be lured in and then shot down so the control group could harvest that technology. And then people from that black site, from the control group itself, invited him to go to that site and see some stuff and get some more information, and then encouraged him to get this information out to people. So it seems like there are pro-disclosure elements within the control group that, recognize they need oversight. But it's just shocking that Mike was actually taken to one of these black sites where this shit was going down and shown some stuff. And we don't know what all he saw, and he can't talk about what all he saw. And they're so far not allowing him to show any evidence of it. It'd be great if that ultimately happens.
That sounds a little weird, doesn't it? So they want him to tell the story, not the full story, and not show evidence.
Mike did go to one of these places, and I have full confidence that he saw exactly what he says he saw.
Some have never heard of Michael's story, and others have heard parts of it. For instance, I'm doing I'm doing a video on Michael Herrera. Have you heard of the Michael Herrera story? You heard of that guy?
Michael Herrera. So this, I'm sorry, I could refresh my memory on this one.
He was in the Marines in like Indonesia. Went on a like mission.
Oh yeah,
Um,
the guy that was on Sean Ryan's show.
Yeah,
Yep,
he was on
yep.
Sean Ryan's show, and he talked about an anti-gravity, right, UFO that was not being flown by aliens, but by us. We had reversed engineer it from ET tech, right? One, do you think that that's something that we've already cracked and it's being held secret by advanced, aerospace companies or our own government or another government? Or do you think it's something, like you guys are, sort of working on these other projects?
That's real and legit. Like some of these people, like him and Jonathan Wagant, and some of these other guys said that they've connected it to that Virginia crash site down in Brazil. That was the one
Yeah.
that they to because of the dates, the times, and the locations and that match up to their stories. Things like that. It's totally possible that the government could keep this covered up. And would they ever tell us the truth? Absolutely not. Are you out of your mind? Never, ever.
Yeah.
And it would be hidden inside of a program that would be unfoyable, untouchable, and just so dark and deep within the government that it doesn't officially exist anywhere.
And one person who I wanted to get their opinion on this story was AJ from the Y-Files. So I emailed him, and this is what he said. I distrust anyone who spent any time in military intelligence. Once you're in, you're never out. Unless I see hard evidence, my first reaction is PSYOP. I want to be wrong, but I wasn't wrong about Doty, Elizondo, Puthoff, etc. And I don't think I'm wrong about Grush. Herrera, I don't have enough info, but if he's intel, his story is Pentagon approved, just like the Tic Tac video was approved, and it's just an airplane. Now, some of you may have just had an aneurysm, and others may agree with AJ, and some of you may just agree with parts of it, but that's up for you to decide. Now, let's speak to the independent investigator who has been looking into Michael's story. He has yet to reveal his name to the public, and he goes by the moniker, Joey is not my name. Full transparency, Joey is not my name offered to share his identity with me, but I declined. He has revealed his identity to certain podcasters. Jack from Cosmic Road is one of them. I chose not to involve myself or vetted into this story.
I have been reaching out to, some other podcasters and some other kind of prominent figures in this space to kind of just, show that I'm a real person. I'm not Michael.
Sure.
And also to just share some of the evidence that I have that supports Michael being taken to a facility. And so that was kind of the biggest thing. Now, unfortunately, I can't share that publicly. But I figured, at least I could just get on a voice call with you so you can we can just chat for a little bit.
Now, Joey is not my name did some great digging, and he was able to corroborate parts of Michael's story. Let's go over some of them.
If people are following his story, he says that there was an insider who reached out to him through Greer and wanted to meet Michael. They organized a day that Michael was going to fly out to meet this guy. He was like, yeah, if something happens to me while I'm out there, I want you to release everything I've told you. Basically become his dead man switch,
Wait a sec. I guess I'm getting a little confused here. You're saying after you had opened communication with Michael, he then gets reached out to by this insider to go have further, a physical meeting. And he's telling you, if I don't come back from this meeting, release my information.
That's roughly correct. Although he was in touch with this person prior to me,
prior to you getting involved.
Getting in touch with. Yeah, this made me very uncomfortable.
And Michael had never met you in person. Didn't know you before this investigation.
Correct.
And he put that faith in you.
And that made me extremely suspicious. I'm like, he took a huge risk, in trusting me. I mean, luckily, I know he made the right choice because I am trustworthy. But I was basically able to confirm that he did indeed meet this person and was taken to what I call a secure facility. Incredibly confident in my analysis of the evidence that I have that proves that he did go to this place. It's been corroborated to me as well by third-party, I'll just say trusted, individuals who are involved behind the scenes. The fact that he did testify to Arrow, I know that was pretty ambiguous for a lot of people, whether he did or not, if he was telling the truth about that. But the latest Arrow report has a very clear summary of his, him testifying. I do have some evidence of some of the documents that he had to kind of agree to and sign, that he sent me privately, ahead of time. One of the things in one of those documents references a statute that, basically requires him to acknowledge that if he lies while testifying, he is, subject to up to 5 years in prison and fines. So
Sure.
I think that's pretty significant.
Now, the fantastical parts of Michael's story are what can't be corroborated. And you may be wondering, like I was, what happened to Michael's other squad members who were there, who witnessed this as well? What do they have to say? Michael claims they won't come forward out of fear for their family's safety, a concern that seems completely reasonable, but unfortunately won't help Michael and his story.
Spoken to anyone who was actually with him for this event that he's claiming happened?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I have, and I don't know it. You know what I mean? Michael's team leader, I'll just use his first name. His name's Nathan. I've spoken to him. I've also spoken to a handful of platoon members who were in his platoon and were on that deployment, and they all think he's lying. However, when I press further, all except one will admit, oh, well, I wasn't in his squad. Oh, I didn't leave the ship. And I'm like, so you can't know he's lying unless you were like with him in Indonesia. Now, Nathan, on the other hand, logically, he has a lot of credibility to speak against Herrera because he was his team leader. He provided a photograph showing two people on a helicopter, and Nathan claims that it shows Michael Herrera on a helicopter when they flew into Indonesia together. And the thing that's really important about that photograph, if it is Michael and if it is taken on the day that Nathan says, it shows that they don't have rifles, and rifles are a big important part of I wouldn't say important, but it's just a key detail in Michael's testimony.
No, I get it. Is there any way for me to get that photo or no?
Yeah, for sure. There's two people in that photo. The other guy, pretty confident who it is. I've tried to reach out to him, but I haven't been able to get in touch. I also haven't been able to get in touch with any other squad member that Nathan says, was there. And he can't even remember. The only people he can remember are Michael, the other guy in that photo, and he thinks maybe one other person. He can't remember anyone else from the squad.
Who's the gentleman you told me that I should speak to? Is it Nathan?
That's the guy. Yeah, Nathan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no one's spoken to him yet, really.
You think you could put me in touch with him?
I can reach out to him and see. Yeah, I'll reach out to him.
If he's
and see
willing. I mean,
if
I
you'd
don't
like
want
to.
I mean, to be fair, I'd love to talk to Michael. Do you think you could help with that? I mean, I could reach out on my own, but
yeah,
I'd be more than
definitely. I
happy
can
to do that.
I can talk to him. I do know that he is taking a little bit of a break from doing interviews
Sure.
and stuff right now.
Michael's story, if true, is mesmerizing, intriguing, and honestly, disturbing. Will Michael's gatekeepers let him release evidence one day? Is Michael's story approved by the Pentagon? Made up? What do you think? Is Michael's story true? Let me know in the comments. At least one thing is true. It's a reason to keep searching for the truth.
There is a lot that hasn't been made public yet that I am aware of that looks promising. And but at the end of the day, the only things I can confidently say for sure is Michael was in Indonesia that day. that operation did happen the way he describes, as far as the relief efforts and stuff, and he was taken to last year he was taken to a facility that is very interesting. It's a very interesting location. It has some rumors, public rumors around it as far as being tied into this topic. And I think his story, if it's true, it's far too important to just dismiss without a complete investigation that really proves without a doubt that he's either telling the truth or not telling the truth.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross